my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video, I'm creating an eye look with a new palette in my collection. And as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title of this video, I will be using the Glamlite Kiss palette. Now, I have always been a pretty big Kiss fan, maybe not the biggest Kiss fan in the entire world, but I grew up listening to Kiss and really loving their music and loving the band in general. And I had been seeing the hype of the Kiss collection on Instagram from Glamlite for a long time, to the point where I was kind of getting irritated. I'm like, are you going to show us what the collection is, what the palette looks like? Get on with it. But when I finally saw the palette be released, I was like, oh, I didn't want to love it. I really did not want to love it, but I fell in love with it. And I hemmed and hawed and wasn't sure. Well, now I do have it in my collection. So let me show you the outer box that it comes in. This is so cool. Obviously, it says Kiss on the front. Very neat. This is the back of the box. We've got the band members here. He's my favorite, Paul Stanley. And then we have this little part here, and this is just magnetized and flips open. I did take that palette out, but this is what the inside of the box looks like. We've got the Kiss band members here, and it says America's #1 gold record award-winning group of all time. Yes. And then this is the card that comes in the palette, or with the palette. Got the band members here, and then this is the other side. And this says Kiss Glamlite, of course. Created with the fierce spirit of the Kiss Army in mind, this collection is more than makeup. It's a tribute to the iconic band that's rocked our world. Celebrating 50 years of Kiss as rock and roll legends, get ready to paint it loud and proud. Okay, I'm getting ready to paint it loud and proud. Now, this is the plastic sheet that comes inside the palette. You can't really see it that well, but it says Kiss, and it's got some flames and fun stuff. And then this is the actual palette. Isn't that cool? It's holographic. Now, I was showing this palette to Jan and Shawnee via Marco Polo this morning, and I first referred to it, I think, as hydraulic, and then hieroglyphic. I'm like, no, it's holographic, but I think that is super cool. And then this is the color story. Yes, and it also has the band members here too. There's my brushes. But I think this is so cool. I really do. I was really excited when they finally showed what the palette looked like, because I've been waiting for, it felt like months. And I didn't want to love it. I really did not want to love this. I thought, you don't need any more eyeshadow palettes. Slow your roll here, but of course, love the color story. Now, I will say I'm a little leery because the last Glamlite palettes I got were the Freddy Krueger palettes, and the red one did not love. The green one, but the red one definitely no. So I'm really hoping that this is better quality than the red Freddy Krueger palette. I have never had that kind of an experience with any Glamlite palette that I own in my collection, so I'm hoping that this one works really well. And what my eyes gravitate towards when I look at this palette are these two rows right here, because I love purple and I love green. So I will be doing a green and purple look today. And I think what I will do is start off by putting, my stomach's growling, by putting this shade right here called the Star Child in my transition area. I'm going to deepen up the outer the V with Dynasty. I might even use a little bit of this, and this is called Black Diamond, this beautiful black matte. I hope it's beautiful anyway. And then for the shimmers, I want to use this one here called Stole Your Love. It's purple, but it's got a really cool like magenta flip in it. And then I'm also going to use this one here called Rock and Roll All Night. And then I think what I'll do is put maybe a couple different green shades on my lower lash line. This one's called Kiss, and this one's called Lick It Up, which is my favorite Kiss song. Okay, so I do have my brows done, but I don't have my eyelid primed yet, so I'm gonna go off camera and prime this eyelid in the P. Louise eyeshadow base in Rumor 01. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so everything's primed and ready to rock and roll. Pun intended. All right, so again, I'm gonna go into the Star Child and put that in my transition area. The very first time I ever heard Kiss, I was in the 4th grade, I'm pretty sure. Like, I knew who they were. Like, I'd seen them, I don't know, where did I see them on TV? Or I knew who they were. I think my cousins, my older cousins were into Kiss, like had Kiss posters and stuff on their walls. But I didn't really know their music until I was in the 4th grade, and I was over at my friend Lori's house. And she had one of their new albums. I remember it was, I think, was that when I heard Lick It Up for the first time? Was I in the 4th grade? I might have been older than that. I don't know. I could be wrong. But she was listening to that and I was like, oh, this is badass. Who is this? And she's like, it's Kiss, dummy. I'm like, oh. And then, of course, you know, they started having their videos on MTV. And I was just captivated with them and their makeup and their look. And Gene Simmons honestly kind of scared me when I was younger. His big long tongue and, you know, the whole everything. I was like kind of, you know, intimidated by him, like kind of like, huh. But I loved Paul Stanley and the lead singer. And my friend Lori had a huge crush on him. I mean, huge. She had pictures of him and stuff all over her bedroom walls in her room. And one of the things that I loved the most about them and their look were the boots that they would wear. They had these big, huge platform boots. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. But, you know, I just thought they looked so cool and they sounded so cool. Now, I'm not the biggest Kiss fan in the world, and I don't know a ton about their the band members and whatnot. So some of you watching might know a hell of a lot more than I do. I'm sure you do know a hell of a lot more than I do. And feel free to share any information that you want in the comment section about the band. But my husband and I, we did watch a documentary about Kiss. It was on Prime. When was that? Several months ago. And it was really interesting just to hear about how they got started and where they were from and just kind of learn more about Kiss. That was really cool. And, you know, they had their ups and downs for sure with lots of different things, but it was just interesting to hear and learn more about the band. And this is really nice. It's blending well. I thought maybe it was kind of starting off maybe a little patchy, but as I'm building it up, it's working really well. And I think it's a really pretty, like, muted purple. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Yeah, it is kind of patchy right there. I'm gonna leave it like this for now, and then I'll go back around later with maybe a clean brush and blend it some more. But now let's go into Dynasty and put that in my outer V into my crease. And it was so funny because Andy and Ash and Leanna and I have a group chat on Instagram, and we have been talking about this collection release for the longest time. And we were all like, okay, get on with it, you know? And, you know, there's a whole collection that came with this. But I am always the palette grabber, you know? Sometimes I'll get other things in a collection, but typically I will just get the palette. I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten an entire collection that has been released, and I don't think I have. You know, like tons of brands release collections where there's all the products. I only get the palettes typically. I don't think I've ever gotten an entire collection, which is kind of lame. I should just do that, but I don't know. The palette is where my heart is in every collection that gets released. It's like the palette, you know. But if you have gotten the whole collection, let me know about that in the comment section. Now this shade is working amazingly well. It's very pigmented. It's applying beautifully. Love it. It's awesome. And I may put the black matte on too, just to kind of really deepen it up. I mean, if we're gonna go rock star today, rock star, you know, black matte, it makes sense. So now what I think I'll do is go into this shade here called Stole Your Love. Is that what it says? Yeah, Stole Your Love. Put that right there. That looks really pretty. It's got like a very magenta shift to it. I can remember when the movie Dazed and Confused came out and it had I want to rock and roll all night, or rock and roll all night. Who am I? That was part of the soundtrack. And I was like, oh, so great. Because I don't think I'd ever heard that Kiss song until that movie came out. I really do feel like a lot of my life I have lived under a rock. I really do. Because I was just listening to like their more current music. And I can't even think of their song titles right now. This is horrible. I should have looked at that before I sat down to film. But there was a lot of other Kiss songs I would listen to, but I just can't remember the names of them now. But you know, like I said, Lick It Up will always be my favorite Kiss song. I just think it's so good. But yeah, when the Rock and Roll All Night came out, or not came out, but when I first heard it, because it came out like in the 70s, I was like, ooh, this is badass. And I can remember my friends and I listening to that all the time. And I had like, you know, older family members or, you know, just people in my life that were like, you're just now listening to this stuff? Like, where have you guys been? Oops, I just almost knocked that on the ground. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, my husband knows a lot more about Kiss than I do. And he listened to a lot more of their music than I did growing up. So now going into Rock and Roll All Night. Yes. Put this towards the front. Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's really cool. It's like a real earthy green. Oh yeah, and I like the two of these together. That's awesome. Yes. Super cool. You know, I kind of almost wish I'd use that more magenta matte shade with this, but that's okay. I do like the dusky purple too. It's just, I don't know. I think the magenta maybe would have looked better. This matte right here called Shout It Out Loud. I think that might have looked a little bit better, but it's okay. I could always try that down the road. Yeah, that looks really cool. I do want to go into Stole Your Love with my finger and just kind of mesh these two things together here, these two shades. Ugh. Sometimes language eludes me, you know? It was so funny. I was watching Deb B, her panning intro to the Def Leppard panning project that we're doing together. And at the very end, she has bloopers. So great. Oh, I was laughing so hard. So funny. Because I do the same thing. I can't. Sometimes when I'm filming, like there are days when I'm going to go back in with that green shade too. When I am filming that I cannot speak. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. And I do edit that stuff out. I mean, sometimes I don't, but it just kind of depends. It's usually my outros that are the killers for me because I don't know. I'm just like, Okay, so now what I think I'll do is go back into Dynasty a little bit. Trying to decide if, and then just kind of go around here. But I'm trying to decide if I want to put the black matte on too. I think I'm going to. I do want to grab a fluffier brush though. I think I'll grab this one right here. If I can get out of the holder, there we go. This one, nothing additional on it, and just kind of go around the outer edge here. Just make sure that's blended better because I think it looks weird. But yeah, I think I am going to put the black matte on for sure. And I think another thing I'm going to do too is put this shade right here under my brow and also of course in my inner corner. Yeah, let's go into black matte, why not? And I think what I'll do is just take my Rephr 13, clean it off just a little bit, clean a little bit of the purple off on my little color switchy thing, and then go into the black matte, which is called Black Diamond. Okay. But you know, I'm just such a music lover that anytime a musical palette gets released, I really want it, like the Def Leppard and Ozzy Osbourne from Rock and Roll Beauty. I mean, that was so fun. So fun to get those palettes, and I just love both of them. I'm trying to think, do I have any other rock and roll palettes? I don't think so. But I just, you know, I'm a sucker for musical stuff. Absolutely. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will grab a little brush. I'm going to grab this one here, my Glamlite Freddy Krueger brush. And I'm going to go into this shade right here called the Spaceman and put that under my brow a little bit. And I think, well, I'll spray it just a skosh just because I don't want to get a bunch of fallout. I just barely sprayed this. Put this right here. Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah, that is really cool. It's because it's got like a lavender shift to it. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's cool. Yeah, I dig that a lot. That looks really cool. And I think what I'll do is just use this again and just kind of blend it so it's not quite so stripey. Yeah, it's kind of got that like, not flaky, but kind of flaky texture to it. The only shade I'm not sure about in this look is that, this shade, the lighter, duskier purple. I don't know, just seems maybe a little patchy. Okay, so I'm pretty much done with this. I'm gonna go off camera, do my other eye, the rest of my face, and I'll come back. So this is the finished look. Now, I do like how the look turned out, but I have some definite first impression thoughts of this palette that I'll share with you here in just a minute. Let me show you just a few things I put on my face for my finished look. On my lips, I used a combination of two things. I started off with the La Belle Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Vamp Addict. I love this lippy, really nice dark purple liquid lipstick, but I wanted to jazz it up a little bit, so I grabbed a multi-chrome lip gloss from Ladybug Glow in the shade number 4. It's got a really pretty blue, pink, and lavender shift to it. And I've used these together before and just love this combination. Really fun. And you can't really see how multi-chrome the lip gloss is in the camera, but in life you can really see it and it's gorgeous. Let's see, for my lower waterlines, I used a Moira Cosmetics multi-chrome eyeliner in the shade Atlas. And when I first applied this, my eyes went bonkers, got really watery and just felt kind of funky. They're fine now, but at first I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Because the other ones I've used, I got a set of like, what, 4 or 5 of these. The ones I've used so far have worked really well and didn't make my eyes spaz out, but this one kind of made my eyes spaz out. But I do think it looks beautiful in my lower waterlines. For my upper lid liner, I used the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Felt Tip Liner in black. Love it. And then for my mascara, I used the the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effects Mascara. This is one of my faves. It's so good. And then I did use my Queen Nubia Cosmetics Loose Highlighter in the shade Hustling Hutley. I have pulled this into my Def Leppard panning project. So of course I wanted to use this today. It is so gorgeous, very blingy. You can definitely see my face from outer space. So now let's talk about the eyeshadow palette, Kiss from Glamlite. Now, I do think that the shades that I use today are nice, but I wouldn't say they are mind-blowingly amazing. This shade right here, the Star Child, just a little patchy, more buildable, which is fine. I don't mind that at all, but it just seemed like it was looking a little patchy. This shade here called Dynasty was a very nice purple matte. It applied well, blended well, pigmented. The black matte is nice. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but it's nice, you know, decent black matte. And I really did like both of these shimmer shades. I guess my critique is that they're just not as dynamic and amazing and whoa as the shimmers that are in the Scooby-Doo Glamlite palettes. They're just not. And I keep expecting that. You know, the last couple Glamlite palettes I've gotten, I keep thinking they're going to be just as good as the Scooby-Doo palettes, and they're just not. This is a beautiful shade. It's got that purple and magenta flip, and they're fine. They're fine, and they are pretty, but I'm just like, could you give me just a little more? And maybe I'm being really picky. And if I am, okay. But, and then I use this shade right here called Kiss on my lower lash lines. And again, it was a little bit patchy, not the easiest to manipulate on my lower lash lines or get it to blend out. You know, like I kind of try to make it look a little softer. And that wasn't the easiest. It took me a little longer than I felt it should to do that. And then I did use this shade as my inner corner shade as well as under my brow. And, you know, it's nice, but it just didn't adhere to my inner corners as well as I wanted it to. I don't know. I feel like I'm being really harsh or really too hard on this palette because I've only used it this first time here. And I will continue to use it, of course. But my first impressions are, it's a decent palette. It's just not as incredible or as amazing as I feel the Scooby-Doo palettes are from this brand. So, you know, but I do like this better than the red Freddy Krueger palette for sure. Absolutely. So let me know if you picked up anything from this collection, what you think of the eyeshadow palette. Like I said, I will continue to use it. I just, you know, I had the bar set really high for this palette and it's just not quite up at that bar. And also, I would love to know if you are a Kiss fan. We can chat about that in the comment section. Let me know which band member is your favorite, if Gene Simmons freaked you out when you were younger like he did me, and what your favorite songs are from Kiss. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.